Hello, and welcome to Rare Together, Watch Together, film selections from the Disorder Channel. My name is Bo Bigelow, and my partner Daniel DeFabio and I met 5 years ago here at Global Genes. Daniel and I are both rare disease dads, and not long after we connected here, we founded Disorder, the Rare Disease Film Festival. This year we launched our streaming network, the Disorder Channel. We wanted to expand our reach to as many people as possible, with not only our ever-growing library of films, but also other content, including rare disease talk shows, a comedy about rare disease, and resources specifically aimed at helping caregivers and families who are dealing with rare.
Hi, I'm Daniel DeFabio. We're so excited to be able to partner with Global Genes to put on this event. As Bo mentioned, our goal has always been to get these films and the rare disease stories out to as many people as possible. And of course, Global Genes is a perfect partner to make that happen. And I hope as you watch the films, even if it's not the exact disease that you face, I think you may discover the story is similar to your own, or at least something you can relate to. And after this event, watching 3 or 4 of our films each night, hearing guest speakers from those films, I hope you'll install our channel on your TV. If you have a Roku device or an Amazon Fire TV device, it's a free channel to add.
We want to thank the entire Global Genes team for hosting this event and giving us the chance over 3 nights to show you these amazing rare disease stories.
Hello, everyone. We are honored and excited to be hosting the Rare Together, Watch Together film selection from the Disorder Channel. Tonight's theme is More Than a Quest, Success. Thank you to the Assistance Fund for sponsoring Rare Together, Watch Together events. We are so glad everyone could join us tonight. My name is Kevin Freiert. I founded Salem Oaks to work with patient organizations and disease foundations to build capacity through educational programs and tools about biopharma R&D for their communities. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for Rare New England, which provides support to rare families across New England. My earlier career included many roles in R&D at Pfizer. Salem Oaks also produces 2 podcasts, Improbable Developments and Raising Rare. My partner for Raising Rare is Sanath Kumar Ramesh.
It's great to be here and hosting this amazing event. Last year, this time, actually in September, was my first Global Genes. And I attended my last year Global Genes because my son, who was 1 year old back then, was diagnosed with this ultra-rare genetic condition called SSMD, spondylometaphyseal dysplasia. He is one of 9 kids in the world with this disease. He cannot walk, he cannot sit up, he cannot stand. He has a lot of neurological abnormalities and skeletal abnormalities. And last year we got the diagnosis that that he has this rare genetic condition, and the first thing that I did was to go to Global Genes. Since then, it was no turning back. We started our foundation, raised some money, repurposed a lot of small molecules, actually 5 of them now, small molecule drugs, reversed his skeletal abnormalities. He still has a lot of neurological challenges that he's dealing with. And we are currently in the process of building a gene therapy treatment. In the beginning, last year, everything was very lonely for me. This is a very, very rare journey that very few people go through, and I didn't know what I was doing. And that's when I went to Global Genes and sort of found my community. I really wanted to share my emotions, my fears, wins and losses with others, and create a community for myself as I'm going through this journey, which is where we started Raising Rare with Kevin to share my journey to the world. And you can hear more about Raising Rare at raisingrare.fm.
Yeah, so Sanath called me just like a week after the last Global Gene Summit, and he had questions for me, and I was so happy to be able to give him some ideas. And we started having conversations, and at some point I said, you know, we should record these, and we can turn this into a podcast. And Sanath, being someone who wants to share all this, he wants it out there, he's an open source guy, said, sure. And we decided that the style of this was going to be real time, kind of raw. We don't know where the story's going. No rare parent knows where the story's going. And we're taking this risk. We're going to go out there, and whatever happens, happens. And we've had sad ones. We've had things where we laugh, and we have episodes where we cry, and we have episodes that just make us think. So when we were listening to the two disabled dudes and their, comic genius on the first evening, Jonathan and I were like, "Oh my gosh, how are we gonna live up to that? Can't happen." And then Effie Parks came on last night, and Effie was just so empathetic the whole time. I could feel her emotions, and I thought, "Oh, we can't do that." So we're just going to be raw, just like our style is. It's authentic. We might laugh a little, we might cry a little, but we're going to make you think tonight. So we have the opportunity to see 3 films, and they very roughly, trace out the stages of translational research and development. We're going to hear about developing animal models and getting an animal colony started. We're going to hear about creating clinical trial protocols just to get treatment to one patient. And finally, we're going to hear about participating in late-stage pivotal clinical studies that lead to regulatory submissions. We all know finding treatments and cures is a quest. We will hear from the moms who have been there. So Sanaf, you're at the early stages of this quest. What are you looking forward to from the films and the discussions we have tonight?
I'm just beginning my quest. I have this feeling that I'm standing in front of this giant mountain in the foothills and trying to climb up to the top where success is. And it's a long quest, and it's a quest that others have been. To me, these films showcase what lies ahead of me in my journey. And I'm just longing to see what success looks like and hear from the moms and hopefully understand what it'll look like for my son.
So let's watch our first film, Brick in the Wall, with Allison Fraze and her son Joshua.
People who see me for the first time don't know what to expect from me. Some might think I'm not smart, but I'm practically like any other 14-year-old. Nobody is perfectly normal. Everyone's got these unique characteristics. What I'm trying to say is that none of you are just another brick in the wall.
The day that he was born, classical music was playing, and I remember seeing Joshua for the first time. He was not breathing, but nobody would look at me, and I kept saying, "Why can't I hear my baby cry?" And within minutes, the room was filled with nurses and doctors, and he was swept away. I remember screaming at the top of my lungs, "What did I do to bring this onto my child?" Later in recovery, they came to me and said, "Your son has a severe disorder."
You just can't realize how special a child can be until you have your own child. He's just a wonderful kid. He's been through so much, and yet he's such a happy, well-dispositioned kid. He enjoys life.
My brother was such a prankster. When I was really young, I wanted to play video games with him, but he wouldn't let me, so my dad forced him to let me play. Little did I know that he gave me a remote with no batteries in it. I thought I was doing so good at the game. He was just playing a trick on me.
I awoke one Saturday morning to hear Joshua yelling at the top of his lungs, "Dad, Dad, get in here, help me." And as I ran into the room, I saw Isabella leaning over Josh, laughing hysterically and putting lipstick on him and eyeshadow, and his face was covered with makeup. Isabella was actually getting it back for something that Joshua had done to her a couple years prior.
Oh, Joshua, he's got a great sense of humor. He would always say to me, "Mom, don't sweat the small stuff." And I'd be like, "What did he just say?" He accepted his life for the way that it was, but I could see that it was eating away at him and really wearing him down the older he got. We knew that we needed to do something. I think the aha moment for me was viewing a video of a mouse that its legs were crippled and it couldn't crawl. And with one injection of gene replacement therapy, it was crawling up the side of the cage. And I remember watching that video thinking, could this be it? Could this be a treatment for my son? So we were over a decade into research, and we were pushing a guarded dream, truly. We had no idea where we were going. And when I saw the video of the mouse, there was a complete shift for me on what animal research was doing.
I definitely struggled at times with not being there for my son and for my wife. Those first 4 years of Joshua's life, I was gone most of the time, traveling and playing football in the NFL. And it was not easy on Allison. It wasn't easy on Joshua, and it wasn't easy on me. When I went to the Super Bowl with Green Bay that year, one of the reporters asked about my family and the fact that I hadn't been with them or seen them for most of the season. And it was tough. It was not easy. Things that are seemingly important can kind of fade away. When you have a child with a muscle disorder and you know that that child's life is being measured by days, months, maybe years, you will do anything to advance research.
Our conversations quickly turned with researchers, and I said, "Well, how do we get to clinical trials?" And they were like, "Wait just a second, Allison. We will never get approval from the FDA going from a mouse model to a human. We need a large animal model." I said, "Well, how do we find a large animal model?" And they quickly pulled me back in and said, "That's nearly next to impossible. You know, it's finding a needle in a haystack."
It was difficult for me to understand what my mom was going through. But looking back at it now, I see how daunting that task was for her. I don't know how she was able to get up every day and remain hopeful that an answer would eventually come.
So much of that time of my life is cloudy. The stress, the weight of caring for a medically fragile child. My husband says that when he came home at times, he said I was not the woman he left, that there was a change in me, but I was woven with depression. Can I continue to do this day in and day out? Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to keep him alive? It was the first time in my life that I was out of control. There was just a complete shift in a focus for me. How do we find an animal model? The journey began with having a potential dog, to not having a dog, to combing through records and leaving random messages on people's phones of animals that were family members. It was a crazy journey. We were searching and searching, and I got a call from the veterinarian in Canada, and she said somebody called us back. I arrived to meet Nibs with the owner, and she walked right up to me. I knew there was something special about this dog. This beautiful chocolate lab. And there was this bonding between us. The owner said to me, I believe that she knows that she's coming to do something for you and be part of a greater purpose. I couldn't believe this moment was truly happening. We had been pushing this guarded dream uphill for so long, and we now had a large animal model. Nibs was so special to us because she was the only carrier female dog that we knew of in the world with myotubular myopathy. She was the hope of our future. Grieving the loss of a child is truly the most devastating experience a parent could face. I honestly couldn't believe it. I struggled with, is this really truly happening? I could not accept that we had lost him. Not now. We were so close.
I think everybody grieves differently to the death of a child. For me, I latched onto the science and I ran with that. We realized that although Joshua was no longer with us, his story was far from over. There's no option just to ride off into the sunset, because right now there's no sunset. The sunset will be very poignant when the silhouette of a child that has MTM is walking away.
So the first thing that we had to do was begin a colony of dogs, and that requires mating Nibs, the female, to a male. But that first affected male gave us the first opportunity to study the disease progression in these dogs. Both Allison and Nibs carry a copy of this MTM1 gene mutation. In myotubular myopathy, the defective gene causes a severe form of muscle weakness. Patients are so weak that they can't breathe on their own. What we can do with technology, with gene replacement therapy, is to replace that defective MTM1 gene with a healthy gene. It's sort of like building a house out of bricks, and you've got a missing brick somewhere. The gene replacement therapy is similar to replacing that missing brick with a healthy, strong brick. And that's exactly what's been done in these dogs and in mice, and what will be attempted in children very soon.
We knew we had to use my platform in the NFL to go out and raise a bunch of money. When we realized how well the dogs were reacting to the therapy, it was incredible. We had these beautiful dogs that wouldn't make it past 17 or 18 weeks, and all of a sudden we're giving them a shot of gene replacement therapy, and they're alive 4 or 5 years later. It was fantastic. Lab technicians that handle animals, they're chosen for those jobs. They're right where they're supposed to be.
Animals in our research facilities have to have human contact on a regular basis. And that is provided by our animal care technicians, by our veterinarians. These people are unbelievably dedicated, and they have a very difficult job to do. They not only have to take care of animals, they have to care for them with compassion. Without their care and support, we could not do the research. Over the years, we've had a number of animals that have been adopted by their caretakers. We've had a number of these in my own family that have come home with us. Many of the families of children affected with myotubular myopathy have retired breeders or other animals at home. It's just a neat thing to see that these people care that deeply for the animals that they'll take them home and care for them as their own pets.
All right, here we go.
Big fan. I'm a big fan of the fireworks. What is your name and where are you from?
I'm Ken Lewis from Madison, Mississippi.
How do you see yourself?
I see myself as a son and a brother.
How do you think others see you?
I think other people see me as someone that's just a good person on the inside.
What is something that you want?
I want to be cured and have the cure and be like everybody else is. So I could be on football team, baseball team, whatever at school and just live a normal life.
Do you have any final thoughts?
My final thoughts are just to thank those people in the lab, just knowing that they work real hard and to get a cure in labs and eventually humans soon.
Yeah. And aren't we glad that they took such good care of Orange for us?
Very glad.
We could write an endless story through the struggle and the glory. By your side, I will stay. We will never fade away. We could sail the skies together till our skin is old and weathered. By your side, I will stay. We will never fade away.
Josh Free.
There's a beauty that guides us like a fire in the night as the sun shines upon each new day.
Wow. What do you think,
Yeah,
Sanath?
I keep thinking to myself, I just don't have any words to describe except relentless. And that word kept coming to my mind again and again and again, watching through the film. You and your family, Allison, are just relentless to continue pushing through research and dealing with the biggest loss of your lives. I like how you sort of push research to a point where there are dogs that are helping us find treatments for these kids, and it's such an emotional bonding. When I saw Orange there, wow, it's lovely.
These
So as you
animals
can
are.
all tell, we have Allison Fraze with us this evening. Allison, before you introduce yourself, could you just tell us, so how are you and your family doing today?
It's been Joshua passed in 2010 on Christmas Eve. We continue to move forward with making sure that this treatment gets to the families and children. But it's been difficult, but Joshua's dream was to find a cure, and we are still in pursuit of that.
Fantastic. So can you tell us a little bit about your story, when you found out what was going on with, when it was that you found it out, when in Joshua's life, and how early was that? And tell us a little about Joshua.
Sure, yeah. So Joshua was born in 1995, and at 5 months of age, we received the news that he had myotubular myopathy. And they told us at the time there was only 55 known cases in the world. And they said to us, bring him home. They wanted him to pass at home. And they said, if he makes it to his first birthday, bring him back and we'll reevaluate him. Well, before he was a year. I'm sorry, go ahead. Before
We were just reacting to you saying that.
It's pretty stunning. I know it gets everybody every time I say that line. But so by the time he was a year old, we had founded the Joshua Fraze Foundation. We were not going to sit back. There was really no research being done here in the U.S. There was some coming out of Europe, and we felt that it was our responsibility to do something. We used Joshua's father's platform, the NFL platform, and we were going to not sit on the sidelines. And so we just started having these incredible fundraising efforts and furious fundraising and facilitation of scientific partnerships that started in 97. And we raised $7 million in the first 12 years. And we had proof of concept in 2 animal models in less than $10 million. And it was pretty outstanding. All that time, Joshua continued to defy the odds. 50% of these children don't celebrate 18 months of age. And so time and time again, we resuscitated him. I can't even tell you how many times, but he just kept beating those odds and just kept, living. And so our goal was to live life to its fullest with him every day. We couldn't worry about tomorrow, but we were focused on today. And he lived an amazing full life. He truly did. And he passed 40 days before his 16th birthday. He was very well aware of what was going on with research. He was a brilliant kid. He was at the top of the state studying biotechnology. He wanted to be a scientist and find a cure for his peers. He was very much so involved. And when he passed, I stepped back for about 6 months. And, what got me back, in that fight was knowing that his dream was to find a cure for his peers. And so I am still on that mission. to make sure that his dream is fulfilled.
Wow. As you say in the film, get up every day and remain hopeful that the answer will come. I think it's a mindset that I've learned to adopt from people like you, from everybody that's been in this journey before me, and I cannot say how hard it is, and I'm sure it's much harder for you going through all of this. With going through so much ups and downs and wins and loses, I always wonder what success would look like for us. And for me in particular, I've always wondered what does success look like down in the future. What did success look like for you at that time?
Before we were even into clinical trials, while Joshua was young, success was, do we survive the day? That's what was success. Was I going, how was Joshua, did he have a good day? I think as rare parents, we view the world differently. We're so appreciative of every little thing, every moment we cherish, every milestone, every birthday, every holiday. It's a huge celebration. So I think, success for us was, did we have a great day? Did we make it through the day?
Wow. Yeah, that's so humbling, and it's very different from what people define as success. Like if I share our journey with someone, they're like, "Oh yeah, are you going to get a treatment? Is that success for you?" And I'm like, "No, it's the day, right? It's just getting through the day with these kids every single day is such a huge journey and such a huge joy there." Wow, I'm glad to know that that's how it was for you too. So I'm not the loner here.
No, each day is a gift. It really, truly was a gift every day. And if I had the option, if I was given that option to go back, as painful as it was, the joy truly outweighed the pain, and I'd do it all over again because these children truly are special.
Yeah, and he was who he was, right? Joshua was, and Joshua is, and why would parents want to give that up? Your kids are special to you. So the other person in this story was Isabella in the film. I mean, your husband was there too, but Isabella, I want to focus on what's she doing these days, and what was this journey like for her?
So they were 6 years apart. Joshua was 6 years old when Isabella was born, and they had a typical sibling relationship. They were very close, and she, grew to be his best buddy. They just had a beautiful relationship. She was 9 when he passed. I still think to this day, it has impacted her life significantly. How could it not? But I will say that she has empathy for those that struggle with life. She just has such empathy, and I believe that it's because she's had a sibling, with a rare disease.
So, what is she doing today? She's 19 years old, so we're close to that. So what are her plans? What's she going to do with this gift of empathy?
Well, she is musically inclined, and she has been writing beautiful music out of that pain. And I really feel like that that's her direction. That's her calling. It's really just amazing. She's a beautiful young lady.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So last night they talked about music quite a bit. Each of the stories had music in it, and so it's just amazing that something in artistic expression is some of the beauty that comes out of this painful experience. It's a wonderful way to live life, is to say, I'm going to make the best of this, and here's what I'm going to do. I loved hearing that she's going into music. Let me
Thank
know when
you.
she's on iTunes, and I will buy her. Any other
How is
questions you have, Sanath, right now?
Yeah, I was wondering how is the treatments coming along? Where are they in the trials process?
So, you know what? Tomorrow marks a very significant anniversary. It was the dosing. It'll be the 3-year anniversary of the dosing of our first child with gene replacement therapy. And I had the honor and the privilege to be there and watch this unfold. It's been truly a reward. The most rewarding part of this journey has been to be involved with these families. I think of all these children, of all the children that I didn't have, so I love them like my own. So tomorrow's a huge anniversary. Clinical trials right now is on clinical hold. There have been some setbacks, and the science needs to continue to unfold. It needs to evolve. And it can. I believe that with the hard work and the dedication of the researchers that got us to this point is where we need to go back to. And the bravery and the courage of the families taking the great strides ultimately to bring us to this goal. I have not given up hope. I have not given up hope in this technology, in these children, in the science, the families. So I'm hopeful for the future. We're learning so much in
Wow.
gene therapy. It's evolving so quickly.
So I was just
Yeah, it's
telling someone
fascinating how the
today.
technology is just evolving like leaps and bounds every year, and everything that we're learning is going to pay off, hopefully for future kids with tubular myopathy, and I think for kids with other rare conditions as well that need the same technology to get to treatments. So wow, it's fascinating to know that tomorrow is going to be the anniversary of the first kid with this treatment. And how is the kid doing?
Exceptionally well. Yes. This technology, this template, this platform is being translated to so many other indications. Our preclinical work has been cited and used and looked at it. I mean, when we had our dog colonies proof of concept in 3 weeks, they were significantly changed. I mean, it was the biggest thing across the scientific community. So I know that our template that we have succeeded with is being translated to so many other indications now, even now.
So I was just telling someone today in a conversation that rare diseases are going to lead the revolution of medicine here. And this is an example of it. You're at the very tippy tip of that spear, changing the way we look at medicine and therapies. And as you said, this technology is built now, and all this work is done, and other diseases, rare and common, are going to benefit from that work. So it's like a stone in the water that was all through your film, and it's just ripples will go out. So kudos to you for that.
Thank
I
you.
really want to thank you so much for sharing your story, Allison. This was wonderful. The film was great. I just, every time I see it, because we watched it several times, just one other thing gets me. So as I said, we're going to laugh, we're going to cry, and we've got the crying one done, I think. Sorry, I lost my place here, guys. But what I wanted to do was ask people to support the rare disease community through programs like the Rare Patient Impact Grant. To give now, you can visit globalgenes.org/donate-now, or even easier, you can text RARE to 41444 to make a donation. We really appreciate it, and this work will only continue if we can fund it.
Yeah, the next film, Counting Every Second, is going to come up next. It's the story of my friend Lori's family and her daughter Hannah, who received a treatment for the disorder called GAN. Let's watch the film.
You're on video. Did he give you a kiss?
He won't.
He won't? All right, well, we're going to go for a tractor ride. You ready? 13 years old, our first teenager in the house.
There's Daddy going for a run on Run of the Run race.
I like to say you're really not married until you have a child, and you're really not a parent until you have two. One kid's easy. 2 kids feels like 10. 3 is just crazy. It's good crazy, but it's crazy.
I loved being a stay-at-home mom. We went to playgroups. We'd be at the park all the time. We were always outside. Yeah, it was a special time that I knew I'd never get back.
Well, Madison, always played the mom. She was the organizer. And then there would be Reagan. She'd be a little bit of an antagonist. But they both took turns taking care of Hannah and playing with her and teaching her the right way to play with dolls, the wrong way to play with dolls. And, it was pretty nice to watch.
They used to call me like the mini mom because Hannah was like my little child. I carried her around everywhere when she was like a baby. She was just so happy and funny and smiley and just like a light.
Everyone just kind of gravitated toward Hannah. She was so cute and she had a little personality everyone just loved, and she was funny. She really rounded out our family, so yeah, it was nice.
I knew that there was something progressively happening with Hannah.
She was probably about 2 or 2.5 years old, and we noticed when she was walking, her feet would roll to the inside. So finally we went to a neurologist who opened up a textbook, and there was a picture of a child with Hannah's really curly hair, and the little boy was in leg braces. So he said it might be this. They basically said it's definitive, it's this death sentence of a disease, and there really isn't anywhere to go, and there's no one to see and enjoy our time with her because she's probably going to die. Lori literally fell on the floor and was screaming, wailing, and I just couldn't stop crying. It's just the most deep pain that you can imagine when someone tells you your 4-year-old daughter, who's been a big part of your family, is gonna die.
It was just completely earth-shattering. It was probably 3 days before we even told our families. I mean, we just couldn't function.
You just feel helpless and just devastated. I started looking up like the other kids, the older kids, the ones that are on ventilators and can't talk or swallow anymore. I would pray every single night that wouldn't happen to her. I didn't want my mom to know how much I knew. And my younger sister Reagan wasn't like old enough to realize really. But once she was old enough to like understand what was like really going on, her and I, we like we stuck together through it. So.
I don't think I ever asked why. I think I just fought like hell to change it. In any disease, someone has to be the first, and in GAN, it's going to be Hannah.
Yeah, it was daunting. It was really daunting. But, it's your daughter, so, I went to work. I just started shaking every tree I'd ever touched in my life, and every friend, every family member, every colleague, and we just started fundraising.
It was absolutely a race against the clock.
We didn't see my mom for like 2 months, literally. My parents locked themselves in the basement because that's where our computer was. And we weren't allowed down there because they were making war boards on the mirrors on the walls of various doctors that have done some research for GAN.
In neurodegenerative diseases, you need to intervene before the nerves have died off. It's not regenerative medicine. We needed gene replacement. We needed gene therapy. It could take 2 or 3 decades to really understand all of the underlying disease mechanisms involved. So instead, with a gene replacement, you don't need to understand that. You know something doesn't work, and you're replacing something that does.
I just remember thinking, how the hell are we going to raise $10 million in the next 10 years to come up with a therapy for a disease no one really cares about? This is going to be incredibly hard. Are we really going to be able to do this?
Hannah knew that we were working for a treatment, and there was times where she'd be frustrated and she would realize her losses, her functional losses, just her quality of life. She couldn't feed herself anymore. Her proprioception was so poor that the food would just fall off the spoon. And she'd just get so frustrated, she would just drop it and start crying.
The way the disease progresses, it's not a steep slope. It's a plateau, then a small step down, and then a plateau and a small step down.
I would always overhear my mom on the phone saying, this was supposed to be approved 6 months ago. Why is it taking so long? All the hurdles and obstacles that we had to get over in order to get her treated, I just felt like it was never going to happen.
How would you describe yourself?
Happy, outgoing, sassy, I talk a lot. Why I'm on Instagram. I'll just come and say oh, that's so cool, or that's so fun, or that's a beautiful view. Sometimes I will think about the sad stuff, I know that's not a good thing to think about, so I mostly look at the positive. I just feel isolated, there's just so many things I'm limited to doing, you know? 'Cause I'm in this dang chair. To get married and to have kids. But I don't think I'm ever gonna have kids, 'cause I can't stand and lift something up, you know?
When Hannah was finally treated, it was like having a piano lifted off my chest. That's what it felt like. It was like, whew, I can breathe. I still get teary-eyed. It's a slow-moving therapy in the body. So every 3 months we would bring her back for testing, and she would incrementally get better. And even now, I mean, if you didn't know, you'd think, you know, she hasn't changed much, but in reality, she's changed a lot.
Show us. Yay, she just got that.
I knew that this wasn't regenerative medicine. So as a mom, I wanted it to stop the progression in Hannah, and I prayed that she would be better. It surpassed my expectations.
Push up. Grab with that left hand, grab with the left hand. There you go.
Hannah's 14 now. You know, she wants to walk. She wants a boyfriend. She's terrified she's never gonna fall in love and that she's never gonna get married. And so she really hoped that this would dramatically change her world, and it didn't. Does that mean she's not gonna walk someday? I don't know. But as a parent, this was a huge win. This was a huge win, and it was worth every moment.
She can pick up a glass and take a drink by herself. She can stand for a minute or two. And these things don't seem like monumental achievements, you know, to those of us that are able-bodied, but she couldn't do that before she was treated. If I could speak to the technicians and scientists and the people working on the animal models, I would just say, first of all, thank you. And then secondly, you know, understand how incredibly important your work is, because there are parents out there that are counting every day, every second, trying to save their kids.
It's their tedious work day in and day out that makes all of this happen. And without them, it wouldn't happen.
To all the people serving in research, you are what saved my sister's life. You are what made it happen.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I live in Albany, New York. work with my mom, my dad, and my two sisters. When I was 4, my family found out that I had a rare disorder called GAN.
When I was 4, my family found out that I was born with a rare disease called GAN. Before I was treated, I was afraid of dying.
I was also afraid of not being able to talk anymore. Some of the things that make me sad were not being able to walk or run. I have a lot of dreams.
I have a lot of dreams. I want to be a counselor and have a boyfriend. Because of my disease, I know that this will be hard.
I know this will be hard. Life can be very lonely, and sometimes it's easy to lose hope.
I was one of the first patients in the clinical trial to receive gene therapy for GAN.
My parents tell me that without this, I may not be able to do many of the things I wanted in my life. Though I've been really scared, I'm also happy because I can feed myself better.
Because I can feed myself better, stand a lot longer, drink and hold my own cup, use my phone by myself, and brush my own teeth. I have less vertigo, and I can even feed my dogs treats.
I hope someday I'll be able to walk, run, skip, and jump. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for working with research animals every day. You've changed the way I'm going to live my life. Please share my letter as a reminder to keep working hard to help other boys and girls like me.
For those serving research, you are seen. You are value. You are hope for tomorrow.
Wow, what a story. It gets me every time. We now have joining us Lori Sames, Hannah's mom. So Lori, how is Hannah doing today? I know she was in the background when we got started this evening. How's she doing?
Yeah, she's asleep now. Hannah's doing pretty well. She's pretty stable. There are some little bit of disease progression that we are seeing. But overall, she's just very stable. She was injected 4 years ago in July, intrathecally. So the gene therapy vector was put in her cerebral spinal fluid in her back by a lumbar puncture. So our target are not the muscles, but the nerves. The primary target for this gene therapy were the nerves in the central nervous system and the brain. So Hannah was 5th in the trial, and she got a median dose, and they've already quadrupled that dose. There have been 12 patients injected so far. So, there's a lot of work left to be done. no doubt, for this disease, but this gene therapy, no doubt, is a huge win. Hannah's 16 years old and she can stand. She can power through to a stand well supported. So it's really, I just really feel thankful.
Wow,
Yes,
it's so incredible to hear Hannah, being able to stand. And when I heard her say that, in the film, and I heard her say that she was happy, outgoing, and sassy, it just brought tears to my eyes. Like,
Yeah.
that would have been the biggest dream, right? At least for me, it's the biggest dream to hear my son speak, and seeing Hannah describe that just felt like it was my son doing that. And so hopeful
Yeah.
that this treatment is actually doing really good for Hannah.
Yeah, I mean, just like Allison was talking about, it's making every day special. Making certain Hannah laughs and has fun every day is my goal. I'll confess. She started school last Monday. We haven't dialed in once. Of course, with COVID quarantine, we're doing remote learning. Hannah audits her classes, but at 1:00 today, we were up in Saratoga enjoying this beautiful day. The sun was shining, and yeah, I had work to do, but it was not the priority. Hannah was the priority. So it's really just making every day great for her, and trying to hit those bucket list items for sure.
So Sana talked about what made him cry. I have to tell you, as someone who worked in clinical in research for 30 years, that letter at the end and all the people reading it is just such forceful gratitude, and it feels so good. And I think I can speak for every lab technician, clinician, statistician, anybody who's involved in getting to where you can give somebody a gene therapy like this.
Yeah,
to hear a thank you like that is amazing.
The backstage critical players that help make it all happen, they don't get the glory. They rarely get recognized, and what they do day in and day out is critical. We wouldn't have treatment for anything if there weren't dedicated people like that.
So Hannah has two sisters, is that correct?
Yes,
or one?
two older sisters. Yeah.
And how are her sisters? What's their journey been like? Since that was the theme last night, we'll carry it on a little longer.
Yeah. Well, when Hannah got diagnosed, same thing. We thought we're the only family in the world with giant axonal neuropathy, which is the acronym that GAN stands for. GAN is the acronym for giant axonal neuropathy. And same thing, we really just, after picking ourselves off the ground, we decided to fight. I had heard of Hunter's Hope for Krabbe. At that point, I didn't know what the disease was, but I knew it was an NFL quarterback whose son had this horrific disorder. And those early days, my ex-husband, Matt, just, he couldn't pick himself off the ground. And I kept saying, it's called Hunter's Hope. Let me dive in. Let me dive into the research, and really 20 hours a day, trying to figure out, is there something out there we can pursue? And finally he looked at me and he said, you're right. In any disease, someone has to be the first. And for GAN, it's going to be Hannah. And he naturally dove to his strengths for the marketing and helped set up the 501c3 and branded it Hannah's Hope Fund, and had a video made to help us tell our story, to try to raise funds. And I dove into the science. We never had a conversation. We just attacked. And yeah, 20 hours a day, I was on our computer. At that point, it was a mainframe in our basement. And I had read about 6 boys with Duchenne muscular dystrophy had their muscles injected with a gene therapy vector 3 months before. And that preclinical work was done in the Smolsky lab at UNC at Chapel Hill. So I reached out to Jude Smolsky, and he had a young research associate in his lab, Dr. Stephen Gray, and he sent him to the world's first symposium on GAN that we hosted a little less than 3 months after Hannah was diagnosed. And the goal for that was to prioritize therapeutic approaches. And they said, if you're going to impact Hannah or any of her peers in their lifetime, you need to pursue gene replacement. So it was terrifying to think that there's something out there that we could pursue that might work, that might save her, but it was going to cost millions of dollars. It was the feeling of complete panic. But we did it. In 6 years, we raised $6 million. 3 years, 3 months after we started funding Dr. Stephen Gray, we were in front of the FDA for a pre-IND meeting, pre-investigational new drug meeting. We had money for everything except for the clinical trial. So I approached the NIH and asked them if they would fund and execute the clinical trial out of the NIH Clinical Center in Bethesda. So the first patient was injected May of 2015, and patient number 12 was injected about a month ago. So it's been slow, painfully, agonizingly slow, but it is happening, and the data are impressive.
Wow. How are the other kids doing with this treatment?
They're doing well, yeah. With these gene therapy vectors, the byproduct of the gene that's being delivered for giant axonal neuropathy stays in the cell, so it's not secreted, so it's not taken up by neighboring cells. So you have to dose it high enough to be able to infect as many cells as possible with the healthy copy of the gene. So dosing is critical when you're dealing with a disorder that doesn't have a secreted byproduct. So we are dose escalating, and we're actually looking for a commercial partner to help us commercially launch this drug, this biologic, so that it will be available for generations to come.
Wow, it's fascinating with research like this that is at the verge of clinical trials, and in the hope that these kids, say 5 years from now, will not have to worry even about thinking about a disease, right? Because they will probably get the treatments the day they were born, hopefully, or a month from they were born, and the hope is that these kids just thrive. And I'm just fascinated by hearing your story and the hope that it brings for obviously GAN kids with GAN and also other kids.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these ravaging genetic disorders are multi-symptom. So, GAN is a disease of every nerve cell in the body. It even impacts the keratin, the kinky hair, kinky hair and different textured skin. So those things don't matter, but when it's impacting your nerve cells, it does. So we're also working with Dr. Stephen Gray, who's now at UT Southwestern, on targeting the autonomic nervous system. So the goal would be when the patient's in the OR, they would receive the vector by both routes of administration down the road. So, our work is far from over, but we're very happy and grateful to everyone that has helped us on this journey. And you asked about Hannah's older sisters. Her oldest sister, Madison, is a senior at Penn State, and she's a biology major, and she's pursuing biomedical. She wants to work in pharma or for a biotech. Probably on the sales side. She's quite social. And Hannah's middle sister, Reagan, the blonde soccer player you saw in the video, she's in the nursing program at Lemoyne College, just outside of Syracuse, New York. So it's interesting. They grew up in a home fighting a rare disease every day, and it definitely as well impacted their lives. So it's interesting to kind of see what paths they're deciding on. having lived with, rare disease for the past 14 years since Hannah was diagnosed.
So where can people support you and what you're doing? Do you have a foundation or anything? Where would they contact
We do.
you?
We have a 501c3 public charity, and the money just goes to research. We don't support families. We fund research, therapy development, very, very focused. Hannah'sHopeFund.org is our website, so people can donate there. Again, Hannah'sHopeFund.org. It's very generous people that have helped us be able to do this for kids with GAN around the world. We know of about 100 cases globally, but more is exponential now that our finding is as genetic testing has become much more available and much cheaper to get.
Fascinating. Well, while you were in this journey of finding a treatment for Hannah, what did success look like to you at that time?
At diagnosis, we need a cure. We need a cure. But you dive into the science and you start speaking with neurologists, and they'll tell you don't use the word cure for multi-symptom genetic disorders like spinal muscular atrophy is another horrific one that we're going to be hearing about. But that's just the lower motor neurons, where GAN is all the neurons in the brain and spinal cord. The enteric glial, the GI tract, those nerves innervating muscle, like and tissues and organs, like the lungs, for example. So these multi-system disorders, it's going to be a cocktail of drugs and probably 2 or 3 different routes of administration for gene therapy vectors before you'd have a cure for an indication like giant axonal neuropathy. So it was pretty quick when I really changed my goals. It's about quality of life, not quantity, and these treatments just take so long to get developed. So really, it's I want efficacy, and that gives better quality, and that gives the happy days for Hannah and kids like her. So you start out thinking we need cure, and then you say, just give us like 2 effective treatments. It'll give her a good quality.
Good quality of life and happy days. That's all our hope is, and that's what we all strive for every single day. Thank you, Lori, for joining us. It's just truly inspiring and humble to talk to you. Our
Thank
next
you for having
film.
me.
Glad. Our next film is going to be Life and Atrophy. Is about Nikki and her son Miles, who received a treatment for the disorder called SMA in their clinical trials. Let's watch the film.
We're not trying to cure mice. We're trying to get something that goes into humans and has an effect. That requires different people along the way to get it there.
The progression of the disease is inevitable. Those were the exact words the geneticist said to me when she explained SMA.
morning.
What are you doing there, big boy?
Come on, let's go.
Come on, let's get dressed.
Good, Charlie. Oh, you're You start.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Getting to an SMA diagnosis is really tough because people just don't know enough about it.
17, 18.
We noticed around 9 months. And we asked our pediatrician, can you check his legs? He's not really standing or he's not pulling up to stand. You know, we had an older son, and so we knew what the milestones were and when they should be happening.
When you know something's not right, then you're always going to be reaching towards what could possibly be it.
Wow, I want to get my socks.
Go.
No, stop.
Hey.
No, stop.
What are you doing now? That goes in your shoe. That's for your magic shoes.
I'll do this one.
You gonna help me?
Yeah.
I still remember walking down the hallway in a fog. After months and months of testing, our neurologist suspected spinal muscular atrophy.
Spinal muscular atrophy, a degenerative neuromuscular disease that would slowly rob him of his strength, lead to muscle atrophy, no treatment, no cure.
Okay. Let's go. Brush your hair. What?
Can I have a brush for breakfast?
Well, I got an egg for you.
I want to have both.
You're the carrier and you're contributing to what your son has. I don't think you ever want to be put in a position that you feel like you're the reason why your son's carrying a disease around.
Okay.
Once the fog cleared a little bit, it really became clear that there were two choices in front of us, and it was, like you said, you go down the path of despair, or you choose hope.
SMA is an inherited neurodegenerative disease. It ranges in severity from being a very severe disease where children become paralyzed and usually die within 10 months of age, to a less severe form that affects adults where they lose muscle strength.
You need a lot of SMN protein for motor neurons. And the motor neurons connect your spinal cord to the muscle, and information travels through the motor neuron. So if I cut the cables to your house doesn't have electricity. The only difference here is that muscle is what's being powered. So for it to contract and to move limb A, limb B, it's got to be connected. If it's not connected, then you don't have power and it doesn't work.
When we identify the SMN gene, this gene is duplicated. So that means that we have a copy of the gene which remains present in patients.
So the different levels of SMN will give you a different severity of SMA.
if we were able to stimulate, I would say, the copy gene we called SMN2, we should be able to compensate for the defect of SMN1.
Nothing was really known about the disease in terms of its genetics. So we began to map where the gene is in the genome. The gene was cloned and was called SMN1. To model it in mice becomes a little more complicated. So that's what we did first. Manipulating the amount of SMN, you can go from a mouse with severe SMA to a normal mouse. Then you begin to ask questions. How could you develop therapies?
That was one of the things we started digging into, what's going on in the research world, what is being done toward the treatment and the cure, and so we could clearly see then what things were in the pipeline, Ionis Biogen trial being one of them. We felt like, wow, this would be amazing to get involved in.
You're signing up for a very time-consuming schedule without confirmation that your son or daughter is actually receiving the drug. You're offering up your child for the betterment of not only hopefully your child, but for the betterment of the community too, in obtaining and reaching the ultimate goal, but there's no 100% there.
There were definitely points as we were doing it that you're sitting there just wondering, oh my goodness, is this the right decision?
What you're doing your walking for?
You're gonna break it.
I'm trying to just check the wheels. You're saying that they're locked. They're in the right spot.
I don't want to do it on the carpet. I want to do it downstairs.
Just finish up here and then we'll go downstairs.
Do it? Okay, but I want to do it fast. I have to cry right now.
Why do you have to cry? Why do you have to cry? Come here. Why?
I just
Why? Why? Why are you gonna cry?
I don't know. I have to cry.
Okay, take a deep breath. What's wrong? Does it feel hard? Does it feel a little hard today? Yeah? Are you tired?
No.
No?
I just want to. I don't wipe off my tears.
Yeah. Remember how strong you are, okay? Okay, you're doing great. You're so strong. You're doing a great job. Okay? Get your balance. So he's getting excited about his treat. Almost there. You almost got it. Okay. Did you just bang your head?
You're gonna share some with me, right?
No.
What?
Can I open this product?
What? What? I thought we were a team.
I can do it, I can do it. I'm not.
I'm not even on the team?
Don't get it off. Get Woody. Play Super Woody Phoenix.
When we were having children, we didn't worry about things like that. We were naive and everything was rosy. When she was a little girl, I always hoped the best for her and did everything that we could possibly do to make her life happy. And so, you know, everything's been happy and she gets married and everything's fairy tale like for us. And then we're faced with this tragedy and we have to watch our child struggle with life. It's tough.
We've all taken that tenacity, maybe not to Nikki's level and Tony's level, but you know, we use that tenacity and our determination to, you know, to be as positive as we can, and it seems like it makes everything better.
Miles, can you grab one of these and give them to me so I can start cutting it? Now we'll put some olive oil and salt and pepper and some spices on these.
I'm thankful for my whole family.
That's really nice. I'm gonna give these to you.
I'm gonna do that by myself because you do yours by yourself sometimes. I'm looking up.
Okay, what am I cutting next? How's it look? Looking good?
Good, pretty.
Pretty good.
Lord, we also want to thank you this year for all the doctors and the nurses, Cure SMA. Lord, we're so grateful for everything that we have. All the cures coming, we're so hopeful. Our hearts are full of thanks to you, Lord, for everything that you give us, for things that we do have and for the things that we don't have. We thank you on this wonderful day. In Jesus' name, amen.
You're taking your child from a situation where you're going, here you go.
You gonna get in there yourself?
Trying.
Good job.
Now if you need help.
Good job, buddy.
My house.
And that's when we really started to think, well, maybe he is getting the drug, because we're seeing these little improvements here and there that are unexpected and uncalled for.
After when Daddy gets coffee, are we gonna go home?
We have to stop. We have to make a stop first. Okay?
Where?
We have to go see Katrina. Okay? Okay. Well, I'll be with you and Daddy will be with you, okay?
What is she gonna do?
I think she's gonna put the blood pressure thing on your arm, squeeze your arm, take your blood pressure, and take your temperature, and make sure you don't have the fever, which you're not, which you don't, okay?
I don't wanna go there.
I know, and I give you medicine that helps your legs get stronger. Remember, so that's why we go there. You know today how you got off the bed and you got into your magic chair all by yourself? You didn't even have your leg braces on? Yeah, so the medicine helps. helps you get stronger. And that's why we go.
There you go.
All right, you gonna go park?
Yeah, I'll go park and I'll meet you. Okay.
One of my favorite meetings to go to every year as a scientist is the Cure SMA meeting, where I have an opportunity to interface with the patients. To me, it's very motivating to see the patients, to understand what they're going through. And as a scientist, it puts a purpose to what we're doing in the lab every day.
It is the interchange of ideas and techniques that has pushed the field forward. What's great is we have 3 different methods, all aimed at increasing SMN, and we're very excited to see early promising clinical results with these different methods.
We are trying to find the most efficacious, the most active compound, a molecule that could make the biggest impact on their lives and their abilities to ameliorate or improve their disease as much as possible. However, from the beginning, we cannot tell whether it will be a cure or a treatment.
It's important to recognize that we're not curing the disease, we're treating the disease, so we're making patients better. And I think it really is a new era in SMA treatment or taking care of SMA patients because we really truly don't know the full benefit of the drug and what it will produce. The patients continue to do better the longer they're on therapy.
Our approach opened the doors to a one-time delivery, either through the bloodstream, relatively non-invasive, that allowed us to deliver the gene, the SMN gene, to the cells that are afflicted in this disease, the motor neurons.
Truth of the matter is we have returned at least 2 of the participants in this trial to normal. That is unheard of in any clinical trial. Whether you're using a drug product or you're using a gene product or whatever you're using. Taking someone with a disease and wiping out the disease and returning them to normal is almost greater than one can expect.
On your marks. Get set. Go!
There's never been an FDA approval on something for SMA, ever. We've met some families who've lost their children, just in the past year. you get this approved treatment, and it means so much because you see what it's done for your own child, and you're so thrilled for yourself, but you're also so happy that this whole community is then going to also experience these same positive results.
We don't know the impact that the drug will have on Miles, and we do know that the impact that it will have on a very young child is tremendous.
I'm gonna walk.
Okay.
Watch me skip that. Let's me skip the water, okay, Mama?
Okay. I'm watching.
We definitely are still praying for the cure. I'm still shooting for the moon. I'm gonna see that boy walk in this lifetime.
Okay. What the?
Oh, look at you, buddy. Come on. Keep walking.
Get your balance.
Get your balance. Okay, keep walking. Come on. There you go. You got it.
Wow, another fantastic and inspiring video. Our next mom is Nikki McIntosh. And Nikki, we got to see Miles' personality and his just abundant cuteness throughout that film. I just wonder, how's he doing today? How's he dealing with school and COVID and all this stuff?
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. Really happy to be here tonight. Miles is doing well. He's stable. He still has that Spitfire personality, and it's getting stronger by the day. He's keeping us on our toes for sure. He is handling COVID like he handles every other day. I think just in stride. So resilient. So, you know, the pandemic for us is kind of similar to most days.
Yeah. So tell us the story. How'd you guys find out about it, about the spinal muscular atrophy, and what happened then, and how did you follow this journey?
Well, as you see, we have an older son, so we knew what the natural milestones should be. And when we saw that Miles wasn't pulling up to stand and meeting some of those milestones, we started asking questions. And we just kind of had that gut instinct that something was going on. It took about 6 months of testing to figure it out, obviously, because it's a rare disease. And it was a long, hard 6 months of wondering and worrying. We had a confirmed diagnosis when Miles was 18 months old. And, you know, it was, you know, one of the toughest blows you can hear. There's no treatment, there's no cure, and progression of the disease is inevitable. Our world went dark. And then there was a point that we picked ourselves up, and we knew that we just couldn't settle for that answer. And we started digging into the research and trying to figure out what was possible. We found, probably within a year, we found that the Spinraza trial that was going on, And we started researching it, looking into it, and felt really strongly that we should pursue it, and worked really hard to get Miles enrolled. From there, go ahead, Sana, sorry.
No, when you said you got your diagnosis, it just occurred to me that when my son was about 7 days old, my neurologist, his neurologist tested him for SMA, and she said just a few months ago that there was a treatment for SMA, and so I was keeping my fingers crossed and was praying that he should have had SMA.
Yeah, it really is hard when you hear something, that it's a diagnosis that doesn't have a treatment. So I can imagine what you went through with your son.
And so you found the Spinraza trial. What did you have to do, to get into that trial, and what were the steps to kind of make this happen?
There was, fortunately for Miles, there was a set of criterion. He met them, and we worked really hard. We reached out to the doctors, we reached out to the researchers, just to show our interest, and we kind of were that. I think we were that squeaky wheel, if you will, just continuing to fight to try and get in, and the decision did not come lightly. It was a really tough decision to make, to put your son in a clinical trial of something that is not proven. But we knew the history of SMA. We knew, looking at the statistics and the facts and the research, we knew how the disease would evolve and progress if we didn't have a medical intervention. And so at that point, we decided that the benefits outweighed the risks to have a potential medical intervention that could stop the progression of the disease. And so at that point, we decided it was worth pursuing. We also knew that there were other patients that were interested in participating in the trial and couldn't possibly, because they didn't meet some of the criteria, the age, requirements and those kind of things. So we felt like, since we could, we should. We wanted this for our son. We wanted this for our whole community.
Wow, is this the right decision? Is a question. I think you put it beautifully. I mean, it's a question that worries me a lot, and especially when we're making so many decisions for our children, but giving an experimental therapy is not a decision that we even thought we would make in our lifetimes. And I'm very interested to know what success looked to you at that time when you were making the decision. What was going in your mind?
I think, at the beginning, because like I was saying, we knew, how SMA would unfold. I think it was just the success looked like finding something that would stop the progression. It's degenerative, and we thought that was just top of mind. We need to stop the progression of this disease. So that for us, if we could find something that could do that, that was success. What we didn't expect was that there would be strengthening. That was just the cherry on top, and it continues to surprise us. Miles continues to make strides, and there's little strength improvements still. And I don't think anybody expected that, and it's been absolutely amazing, and we're just so grateful. The treatment is not only, saving his life, but he's also gaining quality of life in addition to it.
That's incredible.
Does he act like a fighter in this? As he's out there doing the therapy and everything, how does he approach that?
Miles is such a fighter. I tell the story that when I had Miles, when I was in labor with Miles, I made this playlist to get me through my delivery, and I put all these songs on there, but the one I wanted to listen to the most was Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Don't laugh. But little did I know then that would kind of be the theme song for our life. Miles is a fighter, where we've been in the ring. We've been fighting for his health and therefore his life. And I think he really exemplifies a fighter in every sense of the word. He just has that spirit within him. He's so determined. And it's so interesting because he just never stops trying. He continually tries new things. Just recently, during this quarantine, one day he said to me, "I'd like to walk with my walker without using my leg braces." I said, "Okay." okay, great, let's try it. And so we put him in his walker. He said, I'm going to walk to the front door, which is quite a significant amount of feet. And I said, okay, Miles, we can just take it, a little step by step. We can start and build. So you can try it, and if you don't get there today, we'll try again tomorrow. He's like, no, I'm going to walk to the front door. And he did. And that's Miles. I learned a lot from him.
I love it.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Just to see a little guy like that, just say, I've got a goal today, and it's that door. And to try something as scary as I'm going to walk without those braces that hold me up, that's just amazing. I think he's a superhero. But Sanath had a question about that.
Yeah, what's Miles' favorite superhero?
Oh, it's changed many times through the years. You saw in the film, there was Captain America, there's been Batman, what's the line, Iron Man. But I think Miles' greatest superpower, though, is that he's a really shrewd negotiator. So you have to watch out for him because he tries to outfox you, and he often does.
We saw that in the videos where he got the treat from you.
Oh yes. You saw that he did not share.
Yes, and he was negotiating whether he had to go to his doctor's appointment or not. He wanted to know everything that was going to happen. And you could tell he was thinking about, how can I get out of this? It was kind of fun to watch him do that. So Nikki, recently you've started another organization that's helping out mothers whose kids just got diagnosed. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where we can find it?
Yes, thanks for asking. Going through the journey with Miles, it just has been on my heart that, as a mother myself, when your child's newly diagnosed, you're so overwhelmed with the emotional aspects of a diagnosis. And then there's just so much to learn and so much to do. The learning curve is so steep. And it's been on my heart to help these mothers and just give them a sense of hope and that help that's so critical early on. And so out of that, I launched Rare Mamas. You can find it at raremamas.com. And it's just a resource for mothers whose children are newly diagnosed, a place to come and find helpful tips. We also desperately need to understand the science of our child's disease and the research, and it's so critical and important. But I also think, the thing you can gain from other parents who have been there before you, like we heard from Allison and Lori earlier, is you learn kind of the mindset of how to approach a journey like this, because when you get a diagnosis, you don't know how, there's no guidebook that tells you what to do. And so I think mothers that have gone before you can truly help you understand how to approach this type of journey, and help you with that fear of the unknown that you're faced with, and just help guide you and make things a little bit easier for you. So my kind of goal and my mission, and it's really become my passion, is to help these mothers just shorten that time frame from the diagnosis to getting them up and going, and really just building them up and pushing them forward with hope.
Fantastic. And that's raremamas.com.
Yes.
I hope that there's people listening into Global Genes maybe for the first time, and this is a moment that they hear, there's a place I can go to because I was just, volunteered for this life now, and this is my life. I want to learn how to get on the path. Great stuff.
Yeah. I'd love to help you.
It's amazing how these journeys all start with us just falling free fall into this world, and then trying to figure it out for ourselves, and then giving back to the community, right? And I think there's going to be endless number of people coming after us, and the fact that we could give back to this community is what makes this community even more powerful and kind of keeps growing. And I learn every single day from every one of you, and I try to give back as much as I can. But it's just every one of us giving back is what makes it bigger as a whole and powerful as a whole.
It's true. It's so important. It's, there's so many parts of this life are so out of our control. But that is one thing that we can do is we can help the next person along. We learn so much from each other. I mean, just listening to Lori and to Allison's stories, and then just seeing these mothers and these families just fighting and making change. I mean, that's what it is. That's what can come out of this is all of us stepping up and making change, pushing it forward in the little places that we can, and it moves the needle. I'm just so grateful for this community and all the great work they're doing. We only all get stronger together, for sure.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this in one of our podcast episodes, but that I never used to have faith in humanity. And after I was in the rare disease community, I'm like, I have restored faith in humanity that, world will not end and life will not go back to trash. We will have, everybody will sort of help each other get better over time. So I'm really excited about that.
I agree wholeheartedly. So much kindness we've been offered. Our family's been shown so much support, so much kindness. It's just, unexpected from people that we don't know, but who have also fought their own rare disease battles. And it's helped us tremendously. It really helped set us off on the right trajectory. And I think, we can do that for the next family that needs that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Nikki. And thank you all the guests for joining us today. It has been a fantastic evening for me. In boy, Kevin, I've learned a lot this evening, and I think I'm just so moved and so humbled by all the passion and dedication that everybody has been putting together to not only help their kids, but also pave the way for people like me and for others to just make the path easier.
Yeah, it's been a great evening, and I thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Lori. I'm going to just do a little bit of my housekeeping here and make sure that I say everybody's URL address. So I forgot to ask Allison, I'm sorry, but it's joshuafrase.org, JOSHUAFRASE.org, and hannahshope.org, HANNAHSHOOPE.org, and raremamas.com. Thank you so much, everybody. So, Sanath, you said you learned stuff. What did you learn? What's a highlight?
I started this this evening with the thought that I'm gonna understand what success looks like, and I know that the mountain in front of me is just super long and super hard to climb, but after hearing every one of them, I'm just super motivated to take one step at a time. And what was evident through this conversation was success is not about finding treatments or just getting to the next research activity. Success is living every day, which is so different and so humbling to learn that. And I will certainly do my part to make the lives or to make the path easier for other people and other families that come along.
Yeah. Every time I watch one of these stories or meet a new family or get introduced to a new patient or disease foundation, I find I learn something new. And maybe it's not new, maybe I just keep learning it, but it's the tenacity, the hope, the outpouring of love into action, so that it's not just, this is my kid and I love them and I'm going to give them things, which is great. And I'm a grandparent now, so it's really great to give it to a grandchild, but actually turning it into action, not just saying, I'm going to just accept what this is and move, go through life this way. No, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to make the change. And I'm always impressed by the moms and people like these moms, not just the moms, but everybody who gets thrown into this situation and they become real experts in this quest. They start to understand there's science, there's money, there's time, there's setting goals for your kids, there's taking care of your kids, there's managing, whatever issues you're having with your disorder. So it's just, to see people become experts in this quest. And then they share them like this. And they share their stories and they become Sherpas. So we go back to our mountain climbing. These are the Sherpas who've been up and down the mountain, or maybe up the mountain. Not too many times that you go through this, but people who've been there, and they can help that person who's just a little bit behind them and just keep pulling them up and doing some of the heavy lifting that's hard when you've just had your life turned upside down. So they help, somebody like you, Sanath, find the footholds, find the paths, and give you drive. You just said it, to just keep climbing, just one step at a time. So thank you once again, everybody. This has been great.
One step at a time, indeed. Hey, Kevin, I wanted to ask you before we wrap up, what's with the wardrobe change?
Yeah, I put on a different shirt and while Nikki's film was playing, and I just wanted to shout out to my friends with Friedreich's Ataxia. I personally invited a bunch of them to come, and I know they're watching. Next Friday is Ataxia Awareness Day around the world, and I don't know if Kyle mentioned it the other night, but Ride Ataxia is going on, and so for those who like to ride a bike, they're trying to do Ride Ataxia virtually. Go to curefa.org and find out about that. And I want to thank those guys for watching. And I also want to thank everyone for joining this evening. I hope you enjoyed these stories, learned a few things, and found inspiration and hope. I know I have. And I wanted to thank our sponsor once again. So the Assistance Fund has come through and made these 3 nights possible. And so we really, really thank them for that. We appreciate it. I want to thank everyone who's donated so far. There's still time to give by visiting globalgenes.org/donate-now, or easier is texting RARE to 41444. And finally, I want to remind everybody, encourage everybody, and invite everybody to tune in on Sunday, September 20th, for a celebration of hope with the Rare Disease Community Fundraiser at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook Live. Now, the Rare Celebration of Hope, the first time I went to Global Genes, it's like the prom. So everybody should get dressed up, make a nice dinner to eat with this, if you can, and it's allowable, have an adult beverage and enjoy this evening. There's still time to register for Global Genes Live for the whole summit by visiting globalgenes.org/events/live. And that's all I've got tonight. So thank you, Sanath. Thank you, Allison, Lori, and Nikki for sharing your stories.